Yo, yo, what's good, y'all? You already know who. The kid, Damelocks on my John. Back like I ain't never left, even though I've been gone a little 1 minute. But I'm here. My little action joint, you feel me? Back. But listen, if y'all ain't been watching, we on the last episode. It's peaked up to peak performance. You know what I'm saying? They almost caught aiming a little trap. It's kind of sad that we're gonna end, man. But there's other stuff out right now. So y'all should just be locked into that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all watch Tower of God, lock in. If y'all watch anime, y'all should lock into Tower of God. Mark my words, it will be part of the big three. I'm stamping it here first. But y'all lock in to this video, you feel me? And let's just see what emergency talking about for real, right?
Dragons dance, and men are like dust under their feet.
We must strike while we have the advantage.
The Prince Regent is angry. There's no telling what he will do.
We march now toward our annihilation.
We're really gonna box.
I have entrusted you with a power only few have known.
Pretenders raise new riders against us. I need you to fly with Dreamfire to battle. We will answer outrage with outrage.
You wish to rule the Seven Kingdoms, but you rain ruin and death.
While you have
I'm about
mustered
to
an
fly.
army, Rhaenyra has faltered.
There will be no mercy for every one of us who falls. 100 of them.
Welcome back,
That boy
everyone.
Young Me,
It's
if I
Charlie.
had a
This is my
dragon.
House of the
Let
Dragon
me
Season
stop.
2, Episode 8
He wishing
finale
me.
trailer video. That's right, last episode. They are shorting us 2 episodes. Still a little salty about
Like,
that, but there's a
yeah.
bunch of Easter eggs
Please.
here, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. After the
That's
finale
happened to
actually
the
airs
boy.
and I do my full video for that, I'll start doing House of the Dragon Season 3 videos because we'll have a pretty good idea of how they're going to plot out Season 3 and Season 4 now that we've already made it through so much of the show and we've seen how
Yeah.
much stuff they cover each season.
I
There've
don't
been
know
a
if
lot
I'm
of
gonna
book
watch
changes
that.
in some
I
of the
might.
plots that we'll see culminated in episode 8, particularly with the Dragon
it's
Seed
like-
characters, who becomes a Dragon Seed, who's claiming which dragon.
Spoils is
Even
like-
though there's not that much
I don't
book
know.
material, they are still cutting out some book characters, so I'll try to explain that as we go along through the episode and through this trailer. Just starting at the beginning of the footage, they start with the Kristen Cole voiceover. He's with the Green Army marching from the east to Harrenhal, and they have Jason Lannister, the Lannister army, marching from the Westerlands, massing on Harrenhal, hoping to catch Daemon from 2 sides at the same time, making him fight a war on 2 different fronts. There's
Daemon
also
finally got his
Ormond
army, too.
Hightower, Lord of House Hightower right now. He's Otto Hightower's older brother. We saw him during Season 1. He's coming from the south, but the small council explained that he's having problem with the Beesburys and a couple other allies of theirs who want revenge for the death of Lord Beesbury, who was killed by Kristen Cole during Season 1, Episode 9, Justice for Beesbury. Even though we love to rag on Kristen Cole because he's such a terrible person, like he is a complete trash bag, his opening voiceover in the trailer here sounds kind of poetic, like it's taken directly from the book that this is adapting. When he says the dragons are dancing, you actually see Rhaenyra and Mysaria staring out over the ledge there like they tend to do. They've been doing this almost every single episode, staring at a couple of dragons dancing, flying around the sky together.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you.
I didn't need that either.
Switch to my home and get...
I can't quite pick out which dragons. This might be Seasmoke and Cyrax just because they go to Harrenhal later in the trailer. One of them might be Silverwing just because of the dragon seeds. They don't look that big though, and Silverwing and Vermithor are older and thus much, much bigger. The entire conflict that we're covering on the show is referred to as the Dance of the Dragons, the Targaryen Civil War in the books. Like the blood of the dragon as they refer to Targaryens in the family, fighting with each other, dancing with each other. Dragons dancing in the sky, dragons dancing on the ground, so to speak. Then we see the Lannister army still on the march. Then a lot of you will actually perk up. A lot of you have been asking about the Starks. When is Craig Stark coming back into the story? What's going on with House Stark? We haven't seen them since the first episode. These are meant to be
They
the
said their army
graybeards
was
of House
coming,
Stark
and we ain't
that Craig
never
Stark
seen them.
promised to
Facts.
Jace, going through the twins, making the fast route so they don't have to go the long way around. Thank you very much, Jace. He's one of the few people on Team Black that seems like they know how to negotiate. Daemon did finally get his
Right.
army, but it took him
I'm saying
a
he got his
lot
army.
of crazy Weirwood visions and Alice Rivers killing Grover Tully in order to get them. Zoom and enhance here, I do not see Kragan
really
Stark
killed
on
him?
the march
Alright.
with them. He only sent some Greybeards. He didn't send a giant force just because he said he needed most of them up north because, quote unquote, worse things were up there, basically implying the White Walkers. That'll be a whole thing during Season 3, Season 4. I expect them to allude to that a little bit more towards the end of the show. Part of the new lore that they implied during episode 1, they didn't say this discreetly, they just kind of imply it, is that Torrhen Stark, the king who bent the knee, the king in the north who bent the knee to Aegon the Conqueror, they imply the reason why he bent the knee so quickly is because Aegon probably told him the prophecy about the Night King, the White Walkers, and the Long Night. So he probably realized how futile it was to actually fight and that Aegon was trying to help.
Torrhen Stark would have sooner died than bent the knee. Unless he believed the Conqueror could bring unity to the Seven Kingdoms.
There are a couple brief references to that during Jason Kragan Stark's scenes, but they just allude to it. Like the showrunner said that he didn't want to explain that too much, just because George R. Martin is still writing a bunch of new material for this era in the timeline. This is actually meant to be Ormond Hightower's Hightower army coming from the south, from Old Town, because we see Daron and Tessarion, one of the new dragons that we haven't seen before, flying with them, and they said at the Green Council meeting that Tessarion would be taking flight and joining the fight really soon. Did not expect to see Daron and Tessarion during this episode, wasn't expecting it until like Season 3. That turned into a big thing in the fandom too, especially during Season 1. Like there was some light mentions, we didn't think we were going to see him for a long time. They said we see him during Season 2. Then all of a sudden we started getting name drops in like every single episode. So it's like, when is he going to show up? Why are they mentioning so much if it's not going to show up? Turns out he's showing up in the finale. Just to give you an idea, Tessarion was hatched from an egg that was put in his crib when he was a baby, which is why the dragon is so small. It's kind of the same situation with Jace and Vermax. Vermax was an egg that was put in his crib as a baby. So this dragon is maybe just like a tiny bit smaller than Bela's dragon Moondancer. Love the way Kristen Cole is basically telling everyone that they're going to die here in his army because of the dragons. His whole speech is about the dragons joining the fight, there being a bunch of nuclear weapons, basically laying waste to everything, and then turning to ash beneath them, which is a callback to the battle at Rook's Rest, when he literally saw the person turn to ash and blow away right next to him. Then we see Caraxes at Harrenhal, and this is Cyrax and Sea Smoke coming there, so it means that Rhaenyra is coming to Harrenhal. Probably to link up with Daemon so they can get on the same page and they make a plan for how they're going to take King's Landing, because that burning city that Aemond is watching on Vhagar's back actually isn't King's Landing. This might be somewhere like Maidenpool, somewhere on the coast in the Riverlands, with Daemon and Rhaenyra using this as a way to distract Aemond. One of their big issues is Aemond and Vhagar are defending King's Landing currently. They have to find a way to get them to leave King's Landing. They have to get Vhagar away from King's Landing. Aemond leaving King's Landing saying, "Oh no, I've made a tiny, huge mistake."
I made a huge, tiny mistake.
Rhaenyra holds what looks like a banquet for the new dragon seeds, celebrating them and their new dragons, including Jason Bela. Keep in mind that Rhaenyra knows nothing of Rhaena and Sheepstealer. Technically, that would be like another asset to them. We also see Sheepstealer later in the trailer too, so don't worry, I will talk about him. But there's Hugh Hammer, Vermithor, Ulfwhite, Silverwing, and Adam Hull in Sea Smoke. A lot of people also asking about Silverwing's dragon egg that Ulfwhite almost stepped on during the last week's episode. Do not worry about the dragon egg. The dragon eggs are incredibly strong. Like, it takes a lot to actually harm them. It's just that the dragons are sacred. They're so precious to the Targaryens. When you saw Daemon messing around with one during Season 1, that's why everybody freaked out so much. Like, oh no, don't hurt it. This is an important thing. They're basically priceless to them. But in reality, the eggs themselves are like super tough material. Like the dragon scales are super hard. He didn't actually step on the dragon egg. He stepped around the dragon egg. There are probably dragon eggs like that just hidden all over the dragon caves inside the volcano there, the Dragonmont. If it wasn't clear, that place where they're walking around is inside the volcano at Dragonstone. It's a dormant volcano, but it's full of a bunch of caves, which is where the dragons basically just sleep. One of the reasons why so many dragons roost at Dragonstone is because of the dormant volcano. Like, it's just part of the way the dragons work, their physiology. They crave that kind of heat. Then we see Cyrax, Rhaenyra, and Sea Smoke and Adam going to Harrenhal. It seems like just to talk to Daemon and basically get on the same page, like I said, because you see Cyrax flying over the River Lords here.
Perhaps you know me as the Kung Fu Panda. Oh, yeah.
That's very impressive.
Then we see Alan Hull with Corlys going to their ships in the bay here. Not really sure what they're going to be doing, but we do have the Triarchy coming with their fleet. So that might be part of their conflict during the season finale, but there is the Battle of the Gullet, and I don't think they're going to do that all in the finale. Like, it still seems really soon for that, because I know we're going to get a big battle, but I think that's meant to be the one that's happening around Harrenhal in the Riverlands. Depending on which battles we get during the finale, I'll talk about that stuff during my Season 3 videos when we start that stuff. We get a wide shot of King's Landing and the Dragon Pit, just reminding you that there are some green dragons there. Lara Strong talking to Aegon, telling him that Aemond is pissed off right now because of what's happening with Rhaenyra and all the dragons that she has, and how it's basically making him even more unhinged than he already is. It seems like his whole thing is to get Aegon on his feet as fast as possible to a state where he's able to actually sit on the Iron Throne and actually talk to people, because currently he's in so much pain that he can barely sit up. Lara Strong really hates Aemond and just looking for an excuse to get rid of him.
Get rid of him.
Surprise, surprise, Alicent is back
He wants
inside
to
the
be
Red
right
Keep
hand,
talking
bro.
to Aemond, really pissed off. Helena in the background.
But
I think the
his
way they left the
opportunity.
scene, they wanted you to wonder whether or not she was going to try and kill herself. But even though they've changed the story a lot, she's not meant to die in that place there. So if she had, it would have been a huge, huge change. And it just feels like it's too ripe for stuff that they want to do with the character going forward into Season 3. Think about it this way, if they end the season with Daemon and Rhaenyra going to King's Landing with their dragons and assaulting the city, basically taking the city from the Greens, we head into Season 3 with Alicent and Rhaenyra living in the same place in proximity to each other for the first time in a long, long time. Does it not feel like that's what the show wants to do during Season 3, like Rhaenyra and Alicent together at the same time? Just think about all the scenes that the writers are trying to write for the two of them, putting them in the same room together way, way more during Season 3. I am sure there'll be all kinds of fan fiction going on about that too. But part of our conversation with Aemond here, getting pissed off at him, is just a continuation of her speech with him previously in the small council room when he fired her. If he's still pissed off about all the bad things that happened to him when he was a kid, and he's just trying to visit all that trauma on everyone else, and is driving him to make all these crazy decisions. You bring nothing but death. She's probably still really pissed off at him about killing Lucerys. Notice how Helena is just in the background in her jammies reading, like she doesn't care what's going on. Like, I'm just gonna have some fun here, just read my little book, no big deal. Probably reading about bugs. Back at Harrenhal, the person that's bad-mouthing Rhaenyra to Daemon, saying she's faltered while he's assembled an army, is Sir Alfred Broom, the person Rhaenyra sent to Harrenhal to check on Daemon to see what he was doing with his army. Is he massing one for himself, or is he doing this for me? What's going on with him? It sounds like he shows up right after the Riverlords agree to fight for him and they start actually massing their army for real. Then we get what seems like a really juicy scene with Aemond and Helena at night looking out over King's Landing from the Red Keep. He says the pretender, Rhaenyra, has massed a bunch of dragons against them, and he wants her to hop on her dragon, Dreamfire, who we saw during Season 1, almost wound up burning Aemond alive when he was a child. So a lot of you were asking if Helena is actually going to fly into battle on Dreamfire. And in the books, she actually doesn't do that. So I don't know if they're going to change that on the TV show. It does sound like they've gone to great lengths to make her a much bigger character in the story than she was in the books. In the books, they don't really talk about her that much, just the really terrible things that happened to her like blood and cheese. On the show, though, they've turned her into a prophecy machine with the dragon dreams, basically seeing everything into the future, but not being able to really discern what it is that she's actually seeing or make any sense of it. So be prepared for her to drop some epic dragon dream during their conversation here. Maybe Aemond will pick up on it because he's a little more tuned in to that kind of stuff. Generally, all the customs and traditions of the Targaryen family, the Valyrians, he's way more studied in that. Generally, though, it just does not feel like Helena is ready to hop on a dragon and go fight in a war. That just does not feel like her character. Then we see Aemond and Vhagar watching that burning city from afar. Now, a lot of people questioning where this is. It's not King's Landing that's burning. It's not nearly big enough to be King's Landing. So because Aemond is so obsessed with Harrenhal, Daemon has been massing his army in and around Harrenhal, the Riverlands. Jason Lannister made a huge deal about getting Aemond to come to the Riverlands with Vhagar. What might be happening is that Team Black might be pulling a trick on Aemond the way that Aemond and Criston Cole tried to pull a trick on them earlier in the season, like they're flipping the script. Remember, Rook's Rest was meant to be a big trap for Team Black and Rhaenyra. They were hoping that Rhaenyra would show up on her dragon. And because Aemond is expecting to find Caraxes and Syrax, who he feels like he could probably beat pretty easily, what if the trick is that he shows up and Daemon and Rhaenyra are not there? And Daemon and Rhaenyra taking King's Landing on their dragons, with Rhaenyra, possibly because she has her crown on, maybe ending the season with a shot of her sitting on the Iron Throne. Because remember at the end of season 1, the way they ended the season with her turning towards camera all pissed off? Think about them doing a version of that, but with her actually sitting on the Iron Throne, sort of paralleling to Daemon's vision of young Rhaenyra, like this was a vision, but it was a young Rhaenyra inside older Rhaenyra's clothing, wearing Viserys' crown.
That was the
What if they
crib
were doing
messing
that
with
to
him.
foreshadow what was going to happen in present day with older Rhaenyra doing something similar to that with Daemon watching her sit the Iron Throne with her crown on? My early
These
theory right
authors
now,
do
like I
love their
said, they'll end the
callbacks,
season
though. I
like
ain't
that,
gonna
and they'll
cap.
save the aftermath, like what happens after that, after the battle at King's Landing, for the beginning of season 3. Then we see Adam Hull putting his dragon armor on, like his new armor, because he got a big promotion now. He's
My
a
boy
dragon
about to
rider on Sea
dodge.
Smoke. And Damon giving the world's
Yo,
biggest
we
pep
gotta,
talk to the River
represent the
Lords
black
army.
people, bro.
No
You feel
mercy
me?
in our
We gotta
dojo.
represent the
I
black
think
people
this
for
fleet
our-
is meant to be the
our people, bro.
Triarchy's fleet that the Greens were trying to get the help of. This is meant to be Tylan Lannister, who went to
Corliss,
treat
but-
with the Triarchy to try and get their help, get their
He too rich-
alliance.
he too rich for
Cannot
our
wait
blood.
to see them mess with him, because they're basically a bunch of pirates. Really interesting shot here too. This is Corlys Valerion's fleet, but off the coast of what looks kind of like Dorne based on the structure, this climate area here. This just seems like it's happening in a much hotter area of Westeros, which is why it might be down in Dorne. There are a couple reasons why they could be down there, like near the Stepstones, because that's where their last big battle against the Triarchy was during season 1. We get a quick shot of Rhaena running through the countryside looking for Sheepstealer, Corlys Valerion on his way with
Is she gonna get a
Alan
dragon
on the way
for
to
real?
his flagship. Then we see Gwaine Hightower pulling his sword on Criston Cole. Not sure what's going on
about
here,
to
if he's
bot?
challenged him or made some decision that Gwaine Hightower really hates, or maybe it has something to do with his brother Daeron and Tessarion, or he just generally does not like what Criston Cole is doing with this war. Part of the whole idea at the beginning of the season, when he actually went with Criston Cole the first time, is that Alicent asked him to go with Criston Cole to keep an eye on him for her because she didn't trust what he was doing. Like, do me a favor, bro, go keep an eye on this guy. Then this dragon with the holes in its wings flying over this fire here in this area is meant to be Sheepstealer. It looks like Sheepstealer is described in the books with holes in his wings. Not clear why things are on fire here, if this is some sheep that he's just burned, he's getting ready to eat, or something else is going on here, but it just seems like it's before Rhaena winds up claiming him, just because they've been trying to allude to her claiming him all season
she does
long.
find him.
I've talked about this in previous videos, but the big change there from the books is that it was Nettles in the books that claimed Sheepstealer, and it just seems like the show has wanted to give her Nettles' plot, just to make her a bigger part of the story. I don't know if that means they'll never do the Nettles character, but I'm assuming that they will not. A lot of people also asking about the other wild dragons, the Cannibal and Grey Ghost. I'm not expecting them this season, but maybe in a future season. Part of the idea is I think they're slow rolling all the dragons season to season, so like they don't blow their wad early on. Also, it's really expensive to do the dragons with special effects. Side note too, really cool lore detail in the background. This is a bit of an Easter egg. Some of you might have picked up on this, but in the behind the scenes feature, the showrunner actually revealed that they turned the face of the weirwood tree at Harrenhal, like the heart tree here in the Godswood, to George R. Martin's face. Normally he will go and tour the sets
madness.
every single season, like he helps them write on the show. So like he shows up
SW,
around
though.
the production every single
I be
year.
doing
But it
cool
sounds
little
like when they
Easter
were
eggs
getting
like
ready
that,
to
too,
do Harrenhal here,
That's
just because
hard.
it's such a big place in the books, this was special for them. Like, why don't we turn this face into George R. Martin's face? But there's so much stuff going on during the trailer. If there's any Easter eggs or references that you spotted that I didn't talk about in the video, or scenes or footage, just write them below in the comments, and I'll try to add them to my bonus videos. I've got a couple big House of the Dragon videos planned this.
Yeah, seen him emergency. He dad got another trailer video. I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, y'all know that before it drop. It's about to drop when Sunday, so we got time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all, we gotta lock into a couple different stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all seen Deadpool. I watched it. I gave it a. I don't know. Y'all might hate me for this, bro. I gave it a 7.8 out of 10. I feel like that's like. I like my peoples were saying I was a little crazy. I feel like an 8's not crazy. Like it can do an 8, but anything more than an 8 is like overdrag. It's definitely the second best Deadpool movie, though, for a fact. After the first one, on some genre. But like a whole nother discussion, right? But we gonna lock in, y'all. Y'all be safe out here. The kid is gone. Facts.